Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am ecstatic to be sharing this call with you because I have with me today my business sister, Sahar Masarati, and she is a cake artist. And listen, when I talk to you about being an artist, I never knew that the creations that she creates using confections and cakes and her designs and the passion that I see in her artwork was even possible with food. Okay, and I don't know about you, but if you ever talk dessert, I'm a dessert girl. Okay. All the extra pounds I have is because of desserts. I'm not a big eater, but I am a dessert table runner. Okay, so if you want to know how do you facilitate your creativity, how do you enhance your creativity, how do you make sure that this is a piece of your self-development that you're not neglecting, I want you to stay tuned today, okay? Because Sahar is going to talk to us about all the things that we need to know in order to really hone and grow this aspect of our femininity, okay? So I just want to say welcome, Sahar. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This was quite an honor, and I love to share everything that I can to boost everybody else's creativity. And when it comes to sugar art, it's endless. It's abundance of opportunity to do, and it's a beautiful art to pursue. For me, I started it without even knowing that I want to be in this as a profession. I started as
Wow.
a hobby. I started with the birth of my son, and I just wanted it to bring some beautiful birthday cakes and make some beautiful birthday cakes and do some artistic cakes for him. That's what it was. Granted, I always loved to bake and cook, and I had a desire to learn more about it, but the whole sugar artistry, I got involved in early 2000 purely as a hobby, nothing but that. And it just grew over the years where I took so many courses. I seeked out so many amazing artists in the realm of the sugar artistry to learn from them, and it
Mm-hmm.
grew from the hobby very slowly and very organically to a profession that I'm very proud to be in now, and completely different than what I did for living. So I
Yeah, so this wasn't your goal when you set off to go to school. It wasn't cake artistry that you went to school for initially. So tell us a little bit about that.
No, culturally, I come from a culture that art is not something you pursue as a dream, as a career at all. You got to be, in my culture, it's either you got to be an engineer or a physician. And so I
Mm-hmm.
actually went that route. I studied medicine, and to my parents' disappointment, I dropped out. Not that many people do that, but I studied full 4 years of really hard work in medicine, in medical school, and studied medicine and the chemistry and biology background. So I had a really
Wow.
tough decision to make. So I dropped that. I gave 1 year to myself. I told my dad that forgive me for letting you down, but I want to pursue a dream to come to US and see how things would, work out. And I never looked back. So I moved to US and I started working in residential management and had a
Okay.
beautiful career in that for quite some time. That's what shaped me as an adult, by working,
Okay.
yeah, in that environment. And in 2017, basically, that I had an epiphany. We were on a trip actually with my partner, and we had a lot of talks about like what we want to do in life and how we want to, grow our life together. And I said, I don't see myself as much being in a corporate America, what I'm doing now. I may go back and be part of corporate America, but what I'm doing right now, I don't feel like I am much of a fulfilling to myself.
Right.
I don't serve enough my tribe, and I think I have so much to offer. And that's where I was like, I had this vision that because of all the leadership skills that I learned through my work and my this intense desire to pursue my dream, which was
Mm-hmm.
the pursuit of becoming an artist, and to pursue that just gave me this boost, this innate ability to just pursue that dream. But I was realistic. I gave myself a time limit and I said, I'm going to follow this action plan and see where it takes me. And so here
Mm-hmm.
I am, and third year of this, and it's been quite of a journey. Like, it's been interesting how things have shifted, but I truly believe that's my mindset, and it is part of the mission that I started. If you believe in something, you set your focus into it, you can achieve it. And that
Absolutely.
was my mission with Sugar Alchemy, and that's why I created all these things to share with a lot of people, because I saw that even in my corporate job, that people just worked because they had to, not because they
Yes.
wanted. We all do.
Yes.
So imagine if if you have the ability and capability of becoming the best, why not pursue something you truly love to do? Because then imagine the end result of that. If you're spending so much time and energy doing something that you don't have your heart fully in it, imagine if you're doing all that work and then your heart is in it. So
Absolutely. And that is my philosophy for life. I mean, we've already done, and especially women that are in my target market, women who are between the ages of, say, 35, usually our kids are grown up already, or they're in college, or they're in high school. And we don't necessarily, we start to look at, that space that it gives us. We start to look at, what is it that I actually want to be doing with my life? Okay. I've done what I had to do for raising my children. I've done all the things I needed to do to put my family in the position that we're in now. Now that that nest is empty and it's just me and my honey, or me and my partner, okay, like, what do I want to do in my life? Right. And that is why I think that it's always staying in touch with, what is your passion? What do you love? What are you gifted in? Okay. Because my philosophy is, that is the call, that thing that's been pulling on you, that's been tugging at you, that doesn't seem to want to let you go. You need to give it a voice now. This now is the time to do that, you
absolutely.
know? So tell us a little bit about what Sugar Alchemy is, because I know I didn't describe it correctly. I just, got all caught up in the beauty of it. But tell us a little bit about the business itself. What is Sugar Alchemy?
Sure. So I named it Sugar Alchemy because of my chemistry background. I felt like I owe that, because I'm more of a chemist and an alchemist when it comes to the recipes and the menus and the creation of like mixing the ingredients together and coming up with the design concept and all that. I spell it alchemy in Danish because I don't know if you knew, but I grew up in Denmark, so I felt like I owe this part of my work to my background. As much as
Yes,
I was born
that's
in,
beautiful.
yeah, as much as I was born in Iran and raised there, and my heritage is, I'm Persian, but I have to give respect to my upbringing in Denmark, because that shaped me. That mentality that I'm just talking about, follow your passion, it's very much in alignment with the Danes. Like, you got to follow your passion, you got to
Right.
happy with what you're doing, and the state of the mind to be happy is that. So the design concept is, for me, Sugar Alchemy was um, created based on this very big idea of mine, that I want to convert your story into edible art. So usually you can't
Wow.
read art, so if you can actually indulge in it. And also because I had this very intense upbringing, we were not supposed to eat sugar, we didn't grow up with eating candies and all that at all. It was like luxury, and it was a very
Yes, yes.
very no, and like only birthdays or like major celebration. We never had like cookies or cakes laying around the kitchen table at all. It was like always for a special occasion. So I grew up with that mindset, so it was a luxury for us to indulge in sugar. And so
Right.
I wanted it to keep that alive. And so what better way of being part of someone's celebration, happy time, to bring my art into their table. And a lot of times people are like, oh my God, Sarah, this is so pretty, I don't want to eat it. But that's,
Yes.
I want you to eat it. My goal was to create something not only physically beautiful to your eye, but also pleasing to your taste palette. Because a lot of times what I noticed was that was the challenge when you're making something really delicious. You can't, you're with the mediums of sugars, you're kind of limited to how much you can work with before it loses its shapes per se.
I
So
see.
it was an art to be able to combine both in the physic aspect of it and then the
Mm-hmm.
taste of it, because you're limited when you're building like huge, when you see those huge cakes, you can't really use certain ingredients in the cake construction because it would fall. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time you see these dry and brittle and not really that tasting cakes when you see these huge arrangements. So my challenge and my goal was, how do I combine both worlds together and make it beautiful? How do I bring the artistry and the flavor in one? And that's where my unique idea behind Sugar Alchemy was. And every design creation was very unique. So I'm not a brick and mortar, store. I'm custom order. I am the couture version of your edible art per se. So for special occasion, anything, it could be small or big, but something for my clients and friends to enjoy when they want to celebrate something, no matter how
Yes.
small that celebration is. So
So give us the website address so persons who are listening now can listen to you and maybe also take a look at some of your just
yeah,
absolutely gorgeous designs.
you. And I'm gonna share it in the chat too. So I'm gonna write it down. So it's Sugar Alchemy. So sugar is spelled sugar, and then alchemy is ALKYMI.com.
Okay,
That's where
awesome.
you see all that. And of course the same name on Instagram handle. So
Okay, so it's the same name on Instagram, same name on Facebook. So once you get the spelling right, it'll be easy for you to find Sahar on any of those social media platforms. So I want to ask you, how do we cultivate creativity? Because when I looked on the website, I was blown away with what was actually possible with food. Okay,
mhm.
and, like I said, I love sugar, I love desserts. So, it was even more fascinating for me. Okay. But how do you cultivate your creativity to the point where you can come up with those designs and actually have, I guess, the belief that you can create the thing you see in your head? So tell us a little bit about how you can do that.
I love how you asked the question because that was so beautiful. I wish everybody would ask me that, because it is so important to understand why do you have to cultivate your creativity. And this is where I created this whole concept that why you need to cultivate and how you cultivate, because
Hmm.
the biggest misconception people have, and this is where we are getting into the secrets that why you need to know, is most people think creativity has to do with artistry, which of course it is part of it. If you're an artist, by default you are a creative soul.
Hmm.
However, creativity is something that everybody has in them. You just have to cultivate it and bring it out. And this misconception that, well, I'm not an artist or I'm blocked and all that, is because you probably are not cultivating it enough to bring it out in you. And why you have to cultivate creativity is not necessarily just for you to become a great artist and create beautiful work. You can, if that's what you want. But the whole reason why I was so adamant and passionate about bringing this, like this is becoming a mission of mine beside creating beautiful artistry work, is really impact as many lives as possible. Because once you understand why you have to cultivate your juices and flow of creativity, you become addicted to it and you just manifest a different life for you. um, the One of the biggest reason why you have to cultivate a creativity in you is because it actually boosts your mindset to become a better problem solver in life. That is my ultimate number one reason why I want to boost my creativity. It's not just so I can create beautiful things. So when you are in a flow or a state of a mindset where you're constantly cultivating this, and I have the techniques to teach you exactly how, because I was,
Mm-hmm.
the way I came up to this realization, because I was doing it without even realizing. It was only later on when I realized, when people were telling me in general, I'm stuck. You've heard this a lot, right? Like people say, I'm stuck. I can't, I'm stuck. I don't know, or I can't even come up with this. It's not because they're literally stuck in their mind. They're stuck in their mindset because they're not cultivating those things in their in their brain activities to boost all that. That's where you get stuck. We all do. I do, even as a creative artist, when
Mm-hmm.
I lack the steps to achieve it. So um, I look at being a creative person as a problem solver, a great CEO who leads thousands of people in his company, a thought leader. They're creative minds, they're absolutely brilliant minds. Einstein, for example, people like in that caliber, they're like amazing intellectuals, or people that have this innate ability to come up with um, amazing products, like Steve Jobs of our times, right? Those are the people that are super creative in their mind. None of them were artists, right? But they create beautiful art that we all can take advantage of. So you become a problem solver. You are able to assess situations in crisis. And so
Mm-hmm.
imagine when you're hit with emergencies, when you're battling issues in your life, when you have a problem in your daily life, when you're boosting those abilities, you're a better person to troubleshoot those. So that's the main reason why I'm so passionate about cultivating your creativity, because you just become a better person to manifest a better life in any aspects of your life for yourself. And the way, if I may continue, the way you want to cultivate it is, you have to be really aware of the three pillars that I discovered that allowed me to boost my creativity every day without even ever feeling trapped in this this drab of that lacking of the energy. Because we as
Mm-hmm.
women, when we are hit with struggles, when we are emotionally down because of the external surrounding, we as humans have no choice but submitting to those, and we come down with it, right? So when you're actually down, that's when you need the most, prior to that event, to be cultivating your creativity. So when you hit that, you can actually fight back and come against it and thrive from. Because if you're not practicing it daily, then at that moment when the struggle hits you, you're already stuck. So your brain is not set up to fight it. So this is
Yes, that's so perfect because, and my audience are entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, and there are so many things in life that come up as women. We have so many challenges that can arise. Okay, so a child gets sick and you have something that you needed to do that day, or um, something, the car breaks down and the money you were going to spend on a coach now disappears into thin air. Okay, and there's so many things that come up, and yes, they are manifestations of our resistance, but this process is just jumps out at me as so incredibly valuable, because what I'm hearing you say is, if you begin the practice of cultivating creativity, when these things come up, you're in a better position to find the solution and find it quickly, so that they don't stop you dead in your tracks and you don't have to get off your plan because of some important thing that happened that you have to now go and take care of. You'll
exactly.
learn how to be creative and manage both. Because if, I always say, if you were on a job and a crisis hit,
Mhm.
yeah, your job will say, oh, yeah, that happened to you, go and take care of it. But they fully expect you to be back.
Yep.
either that afternoon or the next day. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to take that same position in our business and have the and start to respect our business the same way we would respect the job.
Yeah.
And what that takes, the same way you would find a solution, fix whatever you have to in your private life and get back on that man's job. It's the same way we have to be able to find a solution when we're in our business and get back to our business.
Exactly. And here's the mindset that you have to understand and accept. You can't control the external things happening to you. There is absolutely no way for none of us say, I have control of what's going to come to us. I have no control of whether my car is going to, get a flat tire. I have no control of tsunami hitting us. I have no control of the earthquake. What I have control of and only control of is how I'm going to react toward the situation, right? The situation happens no matter how we like it or not. It's how
Yes,
we react.
yes.
And these are the techniques you have to practice every day. So when that happens, instead of panic and getting lost in it, you thrive. You're like, I know how to fix that. Not a problem. You become the troubleshooter of the problem. And that's the concept that I've been so passionate about getting people to understand. And I almost feel like I need to come up with another term or something so people can grasp. So it's not just for you to be an artist and to cultivate that creativity, because believe it or not, when you are an artist and you're very creative with like physical creations, you get more stuck because you feel like you're running out of options. Like, what else can you do? What else can I do?
Okay.
I've done it all, right? But in fact, that's just a mindset. That's just a belief. And the same thing applies to your daily life. When you are hit with so many struggles during the day, you're like, oh my God, I can't handle another one. Guess what? You
Hmm.
can. And that's where you rise above the others, where they
Yes. This
drop,
is such a good, this is such
right?
a juicy conversation. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Okay. So we were talking about the three pillars. So are you
Yeah,
going to share with us what those pillars are?
definitely.
Okay, awesome.
So I want you to understand, in order for us to be able to get into this habit of cultivating these juices in us, we have to be committed to certain things on a day-to-day basis in order to achieve the best result. It's not a one-shot fix-all and quick thing. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's a practice. That's why it's called practice. So you have to have that mindset first, and understand why, in order to receive the best results. Otherwise, if you are in the habit of just doing something very quickly, your results, it's just going to be that time. It's
Yes.
not going
Uh-huh.
to affect the lifespan of it. So that's, I want to give that disclaimer so people understand. The reason I talk about it so deeply is because this is part of my daily ritual. So, and the way I came up to it, it wasn't like somebody came and told me that. It's by looking back at certain things that I achieved in life and how I manifested things in my life journey, and how I rose above the issues. Then I looked back and find out, oh my God, these were the steps that allowed me. So I realized part of my daily routine practice, and I may have slipped here and there occasionally, but overall, that has become my routine. I do what is called emotional cultivation, and I have certain daily practices that I do that. This is like the biggest pillar to understand and to do. And for me, these are the emotional cultivation, which I deeply go into deep about it as well in the course, and I teach it how you can do it in a very minimalistic way. It doesn't require
Yes.
many things. So meditation is one of the biggest keys for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I do mantra meditation for myself, but I know a lot of people do it differently. But anything that can focus the mind to get calm, basically. So
Mm-hmm.
meditation has been a huge practice for me. Journaling is another one. When you write, a daily practice of journaling, or gratitude journals. I have tons of gratitude journals. those are the really pivotal keys in my practice that allowed me to excel from the daily um, like relieving the negative energy and like really
Yes.
rising above. Doing the affirmation techniques, doing my daily yoga, those are some of the very key personal concepts that I practice every day as part of my emotional cultivation. Now, there are so many other practices that a lot of other people do as far as emotionally cultivating. You know, speaking to a coach, that's emotional cultivation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you're verbalizing, you're bringing out the issues. So for me, those have been the practices that I talk about, I teach, and I am very adamant about. Not to say this is what you have to do. You have to find out what works for you to cultivate your emotions. So that's the
Mhm.
big part. We have to be looking internally. So when I say self-care, is not, I always bring this joke. It's not about go get a beautiful facial, which is amazing, or get a beautiful massage, which is great. But self-care is really looking deep inside of your soul and get your inner soul out there. So that's the biggest pillar that you have to do. The second pillar in cultivating is when you're every day working on something and you become master of your work. Let's say it's your job, your day-to-day job. The more you do that job, the better you become, right?
Absolutely.
But as I mentioned, when you're focused on a work, that's why it's called work. There are stress factors included. Now, people who really love their jobs or love their career, and they, like you've heard this, people say, when I do this, I don't even feel like I'm working, because they're, you know, get consumed. I am that way. When I work 14, 18 hours doing what I'm doing, even though physically it's very draining on me, I don't feel it because it doesn't stress me. However, even in my career right now, I get stressed when I have to beat the deadline, when I have to make a delivery and I'm stuck in the, the LA traffic per se, or
Right. Yeah.
I'm baking something and it doesn't go the way I wanted, the oven doesn't work with me, or the temperature is not working. There are always a stress factor. So imagine someone who actually does a work, has a career, who's not even aligned with that. Imagine of all the other stress factors to have that. So the second pillar, the reason I created an artistic hobby to this was because no matter how much we love our jobs and no matter how much we are in love with what we are doing every day as a work, but we are stressed. So in order for you to release that stress, you have to have a hobby. That's the key. For me,
Hmm.
I teach painting on chocolate or painting something that on edible art to other people who want to pursue that hobby, because that's how I started. This whole concept started when I pursued, sugar artistry as a hobby, not as a job, not as a career, as something that I want to do for fun for my family. So
Hmm.
take a hobby as an art to pursue. Like for my boyfriend, it's gardening. He can be immersed in it for hours and hours and hours and hours, and he becomes so like relaxed, even though
Hmm.
it's physically tiring on him, right? So um, grab an art that you can excel on, and this is where I want to share the art of sugar artistry and painting on chocolate, because then you can use it as a gift to give to others, or make your
Yes. Yes.
make your confections a prettier one. So that's that. The third pillar, which is as crucial as the, if not more than the other two, is implementation in a system that works. What people don't realize, if you've noticed this, this is a human nature. You get hooked on something, you like it, you do it for a while, and then next thing you know, how many people do you know that are in that, they're in a habit of doing something for a little bit of time and then they stop, and then
Yes.
next thing starts, right? It doesn't work that way. You have to have a system in place in order to do this on a routine. Now, your system has to work with your schedule. You have to be realistic and you have to commit to it. So you have to say, where do you want to set this time off of your schedule? I'm talking about literally. Like you have to say, okay, Monday through Tuesday, or or Wednesday and Friday, or during the weekend, or at night, what works with your schedule. You know your schedule better. Set that time off, and donate that time for this practice. Because if this becomes another chore for you, then you're
Yeah.
not going to take advantage of it, because then that by itself is a stress. But when you look at your calendar and be realistic about when you can apply this, you're golden. Because then, like any other appointment that you set for yourself, if you have a doctor appointment, you're not going to say, well, let me see if I want to go and do this. No, you go.
Right. Right.
You had it.
Right.
So these are the most crucial and critical concepts as a pillar for cultivating. If you do this routinely, you're never going to get stuck, because you're doing them and you're doing them.
Mm-hmm.
So after the pillar, what's important is what I call desire. And
Yes.
desire is creative play. Desire
Yes.
is
Yes.
really what gets you going. If you ache to do something because somebody forced you, or you have no, that's not gonna. If you found, oh, she's cute, let me see what she's talking about, let me go do it. That's not a desire. The desire has to be this burning thing that comes from you. I had a deep desire to pursue this dream as a career. I
Mm-hmm.
loved doing this. Like, there was something in me that chemically changed in my mind when I get my hands into it, right? So when you're pursuing a hobby, as far as cultivating something, really have a deep passion. But when I talk about desires, I want you to think about it, whatever you do for yourself every day. When you're in a habit of doing something out of a deep desire, you're constantly cultivating this mindset. you get
Yes.
you become so creative.
Mm-hmm.
But if you, like with anything else, if you don't have the desire, that outcome is not going to be good. So on your day-to-day basic things, when you get stuck, ask yourself, do I have deep desire to do this? If the answer is no, that's why you get stuck. you, you you're doing it as a chore, you're doing it as a must thing. And sometimes, as responsible as we are, we have to do it. I mean, there are things I don't like to do, but I have to do, and
Yeah.
that's sure. So the
Yeah.
more you do of the things that it's to your desire, the more you are boosting that creativity in yourself. So think about that. And the very last thing, as I was actually talking about in the beginning, it's a lifestyle for me. It's my mission to be cultivating creativity, no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter what stage in life I am. And that's basically those 7 secrets that allowed me to understand how I achieved and manifested the things that I have always wanted in life. I had no idea till later on. I think it was in 2018, 19 that I came up with this, that I
Mm-hmm.
cracked the code for myself. I said, oh my God, this is what it is. This is how I did it. And so, yeah, now.
That is amazing. That is truly amazing. And you touched on quite a number of things like desire that are core values for me and my business and why it is I do what I do and my message. So, it's always good to hear that these concepts being reiterated in the marketplace, because for women especially, they're so vital. We're so used to stuffing down how we feel and our intuition and all this stuff because there are things we have to do. So we just go out there and we do what we have to do, okay? And we've almost forgotten the art of well, the art and the beauty of our femininity and what that is bringing to the world, because we've gotten into man mode,
Oh,
and we're just
constantly.
chop chop, get it done, and I think right now with everything that's happening in the world is like, listen, women, remember who you are, remember yourself, remember the qualities that make a woman,
Oh,
and don't allow anyone to convince you that they are weaknesses, because they're not. They're actually strengths.
oh,
Okay. And without those qualities, life would just be one big push for something you don't even want.
Exactly. You
Okay.
nailed it. Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. So I'm so happy that we got the opportunity to talk today, Sahar. And I love those three pillars that you shared. I mean, it's a reinforcement of um, how important it is for us to take care of ourselves and get to know ourselves and start paying attention to ourselves. Okay. So I know you have a free gift for everyone here today. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes. So I actually created a little um, like a little pocket booklet of all these things. So whenever you feel like you're stuck or you want to just learn a little bit about, I just summarized everything that I said in a little booklet that you can carry on and share and enjoy. So that's and I'm gonna send it to the participants and anybody else who wants to receive it, of course.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything they need to do in order to receive that gift?
Well, they have to send an email so they can be on the email list for me to send them to them. It's a PDF format. That's all. They don't have to purchase anything, or it's for free. It's just a gift that I have because honestly, my mission is um, to teach this to everybody, to implement it, and to learn. And that's why I'm doing all these live to talk about it too. Because sometimes when you read, you may not really understand. And I'm here. I'm just a message away if people just want to clarify on that. And that was one of the reasons why I even created a course around it, because
Mhm.
I wanted everybody to feel like, especially now that we were stuck in the pandemic and quarantine at home, was a perfect opportunity for people to really take advantage of this time, because we really, as creative divine minds, especially us
Yes,
women, we are nurturers. We are by nature nurturers, and we are born to give, and that can be very draining for us, for our souls. So this was a
absolutely.
time to do it for us so we can give more to the world. So I always use the
Yeah,
analogy: when you're in an airplane, they always say fix your air mags before you help others, right? So think about that analogy. You have to take care of yourself, especially if you're a woman. You have so many roles. You even have to step into the man's world at times, and that can be very, very tired, because I certainly experienced
yes.
that. So
Hmm.
it's a gift that I want to share with as many as possible, and feel free to spread it and give it to everybody who needs it. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. I thank you so much for your generosity today, and helping us remember, what are the key things for this creativity? Because, I truly believe that creativity is really a feminine attribute, and when you get in touch with your feminine side, when you do the self-care, when you make it a discipline, a
Mhm.
habit, when you cultivate these habits in your life, then you begin to build yourself into the person that you always dreamed that you wanted to be. Okay, but so the work is not necessarily the physical work like we've been taught in school or at work. It's really the inner work.
Inner work that allows all these things to flow out of you. And the only reason I bring an artistic hobby into the occasion, it's because when you're immersed in doing something with your hands, your mind is off the daily issues and it's just fine. And it happens in such a miraculous way. Things get fixed in your head so quickly. It's like, aha. I mean, I do it all the time. When I'm stuck in something, I leave, I go do something that takes my mind away, and I
Yes,
come back and solve the problem immediately. So
yes.
it's that attitude that you need to have while you're clearing things inside in order to be more productive for yourself. And that's what it is.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. Sahar, thank you so much. Thank you. I've learned a lot on this call today. I think it's encouraged me to take a step on some creative idea that I've had, that I've kind of been thinking and thinking and thinking. I think I'm going to dive into it, and using these pillars. So thank you so much once again.
Pleasure.
And it's been an absolute pleasure to spend this time with you today.
Thank you, Danette. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Okay, bye
Bye.
bye.